again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
Favorite time of the week, but not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. What's up, Broncos country? Welcome to another edition of the Orange Weekly Postgame podcast, in which the Broncos failed to win on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders, getting swept this season by them and their interim head coach, which of course also we're not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but with a 1% chance to get in. That pretty much does it for us, Rob.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it now, and I'll say it until the day I die. Fuck the Raiders.
Well, yes.
And yeah, it's disappointing to say the least. But it is what it is, man. We just gotta fight and struggle through the last couple games and see what happens next season. But
yep,
win, lose, or draw, orange and blue every day.
Oh yeah, every day. I mean, it's 90% of my wardrobe right there. So,
including his boxers.
Well, I wasn't going to go that far, but if you're going to bring that up, then anyway, we're going to move on from that subject. Yeah. So. Lots of things to still talk about. And, I will say, in previous years, even though this is the 6th year in a row, we won't be in the playoffs. We've played meaningful football, or at least we've been in meaningful football games through the entirety of December versus the last couple years. It's pretty much like early December, and we pretty much already know in the final 4 or 5 games that we're Dunskies, right? So at least we made it this far. There is improvement there. Look, we still got 2 chances to win against some divisional teams there against the Chargers and the Chiefs. The big one is, can we beat the Chiefs at home to at least end that drought there? Forget whatever asterisks would be next to that game of, well, they rested their starters or whatnot. I don't care at this point. Like, we'll take what we can get, and hopefully just set us up for some success and some positivity going into next year. I mean, there's a lot to really look at. That a lot of rumors will be coming out. A lot of speculation is going to be happening, is already happening about what's going to happen with the organization, from not just the ownership, but the coaches and everything. I think obviously the only one whose job is safe is George Payton. And we'll talk about what he's going to do as well. But let's start with the game and rewind ourselves a little bit here, Rob. So before the game started, kind of walk everyone through what your initial thoughts were before this.
Well, like I say every week, I sound like a broken record, but I was hopeful. I was hoping that, we had a spectacular week of practice, not just a great week of practice. And I was hoping that, Pat Shurmur had a game plan in place that would be effective. And, unfortunately, Pat Shurmur did Pat Shurmur things, yep. And which we'll get into. But, I was hopeful. Drew Lock when he came in for Teddy Bridgewater, looked good in the previous game against the Bengals, but we all know how that turned out. And so, like I said, unfortunately, I'm a broken record. I was hopeful. And, unfortunately, the game turned out the way the game turned out. But, Kevin, I'm sure you were, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You kind of adapted David's
Yeah.
sentiment of just being dead inside.
Dead inside. I'll be drinking and just enjoying watching football. But past that, whatever happens, happens. Now, things happen. Like if you had told me before the game that the turnover ratio would be 3-0 in favor of the Broncos, I probably would have laughed at you. I would have not probably. I would have straight up laughed at you in your face. Like you're telling me that we're gonna get 3 turnovers and not 0 from the Broncos. The reason I picked up the Vegas defense on my fantasy team in the one playoff game I was in, which I lost, but was because I was like, well, they're probably good for at least 1 interception. The way the Broncos offense is going, low scoring game. Get 1 or 2 interceptions, that should help me out. And 0 interceptions from Drew Lock. So if you had then told me even further that we would get 3 turnovers and not turn over the ball ourselves at all and still lose the game, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy, But here we are, man. Here we are. That's what happened.
Yeah, and credit where credit is due. I definitely give Drew Lock credit for not having any interceptions. He was 15 of 22 for 153 yards, which again, based on previous performances, I was okay with. I thought he threw the ball well. We did have a few drops, few very important drops, and we unfortunately, which is very uncharacteristic of Brandon McManus, we did have a missed field goal, which was definitely points that we needed. And like I've said before, you don't see that out of Brandon McManus. We don't call him Money McManus for no reason. And so, I'm hoping that that's not a trend moving forward. But credit where credit is due. I think Drew Lock played, pretty well given the circumstances, given the fact that the offensive line, I don't feel performed as well as they should have. But I don't even want to say it because it just hurts too bad. I will give the Raiders defensive line credit, but I mean, Crosby's a beast. Let's just face it. If somehow Denver could pry him from the Raiders, I think that would be beneficial to us.
Oh, sure.
But I don't think that's going to happen. So it is what it is, man. But like I said, I got to give credit where credit is due, and I think Drew Lock played decent given the circumstances.
Yeah. If you're listening to this on, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, appreciate you tuning in. We do this show as well live on YouTube. So we do have some viewer comments popping in the chat here. We'll address throughout the show. So stick with us, guys, and we'll definitely get to your comments as the show goes along. One thing I want to touch on really quickly was the McManus missed, I think, 55-er field goal attempt, and you saw a heated exchange between Brandon and Coach Fangio there. And part of the thing was, gave him 4 seconds to get that kickoff, man. 4 or 5 seconds on a 55-yard attempt. That's a situation where you take a timeout. If you're rushing your kicker onto the field because one, you can't make a decision on if you're going for it or not. I understand that apparently there was some confusion as to where the ball was getting spotted. So, that takes 20 seconds off the clock, figuring out, hey, are we going to go for it or kick it or whatnot? But if you're then going to decide to kick it, give your kicker a chance. Even McManus is human and needs more than 4 or 5 seconds to line up for a 55-yard kick. That's not just a chip shot, So that's where I would, people might have gone off, Fangio for taking a timeout there. I think that would have been a great call. I think it's even worse that he didn't take a timeout there and then got upset at Brandon McManus for whatever reason.
Yeah, and Kev, I mean, mistake, correct me if I'm wrong, which I don't think I am, but don't we have people up in the box that can see down on the field and see where the ball is spotted? Like, couldn't they be like, hey, it's not that close, take a timeout or something? Like I just don't understand this coaching staff. I really don't. You know,
No.
you have people in the box, and even I, not being there, would have said take a fucking timeout and
Right.
give them a minute. You know, at least, you know, let them, you know, hey, this is 55 yards. You know, are you good? You know, give them a second. Like, yeah, it's unbelievable. You know,
Don't
again,
rush
but
it.
it goes back to what we've been saying all year. Either Fangio uses all the timeouts or doesn't use any of the timeouts. There's like nowhere in between that he falls.
Right. And, you know, I think a lot of that is attributed to him focusing all on the defense. You know, his number one priority is not the head coaching responsibilities. And that's the only thing I could figure out if, you know, look, has he gotten better since his first year? Sure, but it's still not great. I mean, the number of mistakes he makes for a third-year head coach is still way out there compared to other head coaches. It's way too much. And it's because he's too focused on the defense. Now, a lot of people out there might say, yeah, but look at this. We have like one of the top, if not the number one defense in a lot of categories. Okay, great. Look at the teams we've played. The Lions, the Jaguars, the Jets, the Giants, the Washington football team.
We did beat the Cowboys.
You know, we did beat okay, that's the one outlier, you know, I would say where we held a really strong playoff team, or at least contender, what looks to be a contender. I mean, the way they routed Washington the other night was hilarious. What, 56-14? Like, holy crap, you know.
I don't know, bro. I went to bed at like 8:00. I was like, this isn't even a game.
It's not. So, you know, okay, cool. So, you know, you can look at that game, but in general, it should be like, well, cool. You should look good against those teams, you know. But then there's been other games where, you know, the Broncos defense did not hold up, you know. The Eagles put 30 on us. The Chargers 28, the Chiefs 22, which, you know, were 16 offensive, but still they got that pick six. The Raiders earlier on put up 34 against us. The Steelers 27, the Ravens 23. So, you know, there's still these games where the more competent teams are making Fangio's defense look average, maybe slightly above average. So I'm not buying the narrative anymore that Fangio's defense is all it's cracked up to be. I mean, you put this team against you know, in a much tougher schedule, they're probably, you know, between 15 and number 10 in the league defense wise at best.
Yeah, I mean, I believe if I remember correctly, coming into yesterday's game, Denver's defense was ranked 4th in the league, if I remember the broadcast correctly, which is impressive. I mean, a top 5 defense. You know, you can't. I mean, obviously, you could ask for better at being number 1, but still, with the way things are going and everything that we've had stacked against us the entire season, you know, I'm impressed with our defense. I think
Sure.
I think we've done pretty well. Could we have done better? Absolutely, but at the same time, and even some of the players, you know, said it in their post press conference, you know, interviews. You know, the defense can't do everything. Like, the offense has to score. I believe Shelby Harris was quoted as saying that the offense has to score. And
offense has to get more than 16 or what was it, 18 rushing yards. Like,
yeah, I don't know how many people, you know, that I spoke to about the game. They were like, y'all had 16. I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't want to talk
that
about
was
it.
tied for, I don't know, maybe not tied, but that was either tied or the 3rd worst rushing game in Broncos history.
Good
So it
old
wasn't the worst. We've
2021,
had less
baby.
than 16 rush yards in a game, but that was the 3rd worst in over 50 years or 60 years now of Broncos history.
How far have we fallen? You know, it hurts. It hurts my soul.
And that does kind of get to, so one of the first comments we have here, Drake, thanks for watching. He's asking, with potential head coaches now being able to be interviewed, who do you think Peyton is going to call up first? Now, the one thing to remember, everybody, is in order for the Broncos to officially interview new head coaching candidates, they have to first fire their current head coach. And so as of right now, there are only 2 teams in the league that are able to do that, and that's the Raiders and the Jaguars. So unless the Broncos fire Fangio before, Black Monday, they're not going to be able to officially interview anyone. Now, one of the big names I keep coming back to is Dan Quinn. I know some people, there's going to be a lot of division on who Broncos country thinks, the next head coach should be. For me, someone like Dan Quinn coming in is going to be really big on focusing on the changing the culture and totally revamping the culture in the building. It's a retread head coach. He has been to the Super Bowl with the Falcons. He's done really good things in Dallas. He is defensive minded. I know a lot of people are just, dying to have an offensive minded head coach. And I get it. I do. But I think right now the bigger picture is we need somebody to come in and who has head coaching experience and that can change the culture in a very positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the end of Dan Quinn's term in Atlanta, makes me a little leery about him, but if he can come in and change the culture and kind of light a spark and a fire and set some standards and hold guys accountable to those standards, why not give him a shot? Hell, we've done worse with, the name that shall not be said and Vance Joseph. So, and that's what I don't understand. Like, Vance Joseph sucked as a head coach, but then he goes to, Arizona and is decent. Granted, he's not the head coach, he's just the DC, but still, it's like what did you just hate us? Like, what the
Right.
hell? It's the same thing with the name that shall not be said. Like, I feel, and my dad kind of has this conspiracy theory about the name that shall not be said, that he purposely was sent in there to dismantle Denver from the inside out. Do I believe it? Maybe.
It's not totally outlandish. It's
not.
Not.
Let's face it. The Patriots got caught cheating how many fucking times?
Right.
But, that might be a little far-fetched. Not by much, but
Not
a little.
by much. Not by much, but I wouldn't put money on it, but if somebody proved it, I'd also be like, well, I'm not totally surprised.
Exactly. And that's the sad part is, he let go of some really good players,
Mm-hmm.
And of course now I can't think of, but Brandon Marshall was one that left out of there. We traded Cutler for Orton. I don't know if that was a terrible idea, but I feel like Jay Cutler was better than Orton at that time once he got his diabetes under control and everything. But,
right.
it is what it is. I know there's a tight end and I can't think of his name, not Scheffler. Gosh dang it.
Not Schlotman.
No, that's a lineman.
That's a center.
Tony, is it Scheffler?
It might be. I'd have to look.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up. We'll save it for trivia night. But anyway,
there you go.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. I agree with you, Kev. Being mad about it and freaking out about it, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to root for the next couple games and pray to the football gods that they make better decisions. So
yeah, exactly. Let's see. Dan asks, are we surprised that Fangio thinks he should get another season? We'll start with that part first. No, I think you ask anybody whose job is on the line. How many of them are going to stand up there in front of the press and say, you know what, guys, you're right. I shouldn't be here right now. like who's going to stand in front of her? And I'm not trying to make fun of you, Dan, or anything like that. I'm just saying how funny would it be if somebody was asked, do you deserve to be back next year as head coach? And they just stood there and they said, you know what? No, nah. Why am I here still? They haven't fired me yet. I don't know why they haven't fired me. Why am I still here? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're
Um,
keeping him around for the meatballs he makes at Christmas time. Who
Right.
knows?
Maybe it's like, oh yeah, after I make those meatballs for the Christmas party or end of year party, they'll fire me, but not yet. Look, I'm not surprised he said that. That's Fangio is very good at coach speak, that he's going to say the right things that, it's a dumb question to ask to begin with, do you think you deserve to be back next year? What? That's a stupid question. Out of all the questions you could ask somebody and a head coach following that game, you ask them, do you deserve to be back next year? What answer do you think you're going to get, mister? I don't know who even asked that question.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure it was one of those beat writers that, just
Yeah.
wants to take whatever
Clickbait.
words he can get out of them and twist it and turn it and, turn it into some clickbait story. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Then Dan's second part here, will Fangio go down as the worst head coach in the NFL and Broncos history? Definitely not the NFL history. I mean, there's a list of names I could go through here that are absolutely terrible. I mean, starting with this year's Urban Meyer. I mean, right there. If anybody says that Vic Fangio is a worse head coach than Urban Meyer, I'd be like, dude, what are you smoking? Because I definitely don't want some. You're tripping, man.
At least our coach wasn't caught out at a bar with college teenagers and letting that kind of crap go on.
Right. In addition to the losing and what apparently or supposedly kicking a player or something like.
Bro, could you imagine if he did that to McManus? McManus would get up and punch him right in the mouth.
Oh yeah, there's
guaranteed
no
he'd be like, "Nah, I don't need this job, but you ain't gonna kick me."
Right.
In my 2 cents, the top of the list is the name that shall not be said, and then Vance Joseph, and then Fangio. I'm sure there might be 1 or 2 in between. Maybe throw Dan Reeves, a little bit in there. Who knows?
Maybe.
But no, definitely not the worst, but definitely not anywhere near any of the good.
Right.
There's good, better, and best.
Right. Exactly. No, I wouldn't say that he's the worst in NFL history by a long shot. He's just not good. That doesn't mean he's the worst, and I don't think anybody's going to put him up with the worst, but he has a lot of not good numbers. I mean, the home record under Fangio is not good at all. I mean, we don't really have a home field advantage. His biggest one is the fact that we are 1-22 when we are losing at halftime. 1-22. And yesterday was almost 1-23, because if it hadn't been for Bradley Chubb's awesome, interception, and almost bringing it back to the end zone for a pick six. I mean, he got to the 1 yard line, but he almost got there. So if it weren't for that, we would have been losing at halftime. And I can't say that we would have come back from that. I mean, just the way, things were going. So, that would have been 1-23. But either way, the 1-22 when you're losing at halftime is an horrendous record to have. And I think that speaks a lot. So, also speaks a lot about an organization when you can get 3 turnovers and you still lose the game. Like, how often has that happened? That just shows how inept your entire offense is. And a lot of it wasn't Drew Lock. I mean, he had 0 turnovers. The interesting stat was we were an interesting stat was we were 1 for 10 on third down conversions. You know which one third down we converted on, Rob?
Probably the least one expected.
It was the pass interference where the Raiders player was like ripping Judy's shirt, or whoever it was like ripping his shirt off, like as the Broncos receiver was running away.
Does that not surprise you?
That was the one. Well, now if you want to dive at it a little deeper, Drew Lock was 5 for 7 on third downs. And we essentially got 0 third down conversions, minus that penalty one. So that shows that we are not throwing to the sticks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like I said before, we had a couple key drops, one from Judy, one from Albert Ogawebanam.
No,
And
you got to say it like the
I
announcer.
can't. I can't.
Okuwabunwe.
Bro, that
Okunabunwe,
was
I think is
that
how he
was
said
so
it.
bad. I was yelling at my TV.
Okunwabunwe. It's like, dude, it's phonetically pronounced, like printed in front of you, and you've had a whole week to practice this. Like by now, this isn't like week one. We're like, oh, we got to figure out how to say this name. Everybody knows that this is the name on the Broncos. You've got to figure out how to pronounce Okuwabunam. Say that 20 times, you'll be just fine when his name pops up in the broadcast. But he came up with Okunwabunwe.
Bro, it was so bad. I was like, I literally rewinded it because I'm like, there's no way he said it that wrong.
He said,
no, he said it that wrong.
It was like, I don't know what's worse, the Broncos offense or that attempt at saying Okuwabunam.
I'm gonna go with the announcer's attempt. So just a little fun fact here. If you had to guess without looking it up, how many wins the name that shall not be said and Vance Joseph had, could you guess it? Wins. Total wins. But,
I would say it was in the realm of what, 5 over a span of 5 years there?
Well,
between the two of them, so 25 wins.
So you're close. So if you combine them, they had 22 wins together.
Damn, I knew this. Yeah, I kind of averaged.
The name that shall not be said went 11-17, and Vance Joseph went 11-21. Vic Fangio is right behind them at 12-20 currently, according to what I'm looking at currently. Whether or not that's completely up to date, I'm not going to trust it. But that is very interesting. That those three are kind of just stacked right there.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I did sort by wins, number of wins, but still, that's very, very interesting.
Right.
And the best one, obviously, is Shanahan. He was. Let me make sure I got my columns lined up here. He was 138-86 over his tenure from 95 to 2008.
Jeez.
And just below him was Dan Reeves at 110-73 from 81 to 92. And then, Fox and a couple of coaches. I don't recognize the names. So that was obviously way before I was born.
Like the 60s, probably. Yeah.
70s. Yeah. 70s. And then Gary Kubiak, who I was a personal fan of Gary Kubiak as the coach. Yeah. He was 32-21, and that was in a span of a year, 15 to 16. So, I really wish he would have stayed, but I definitely understand that health comes above all else. So
yeah.
Good old Kubiak.
Good times there. Now let's see. If we're looking for a coach to bring in culture change, Drake here would consider Matt Eberflus, the DC from Indy. I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. My thing is, if they're able to do it, great. I do want somebody who's had prior head coaching experience, though. I don't care if they're a coordinator right now. I want a retread of a head coach because I want somebody who has shown that they can manage timeouts, they can manage a game, they know what it takes to be a head coach, and that they at least have some experience doing it. I don't want any of this. Oh, it's a first-time head coach. He's going to need a year or two to figure out how to manage the game. Okay, I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm so over it. You know what I mean? Like,
Kevin, I'm gonna give you this one because I've been thinking about it, and I think you're right. We do need someone that has experience and knows how to be a head coach. I guess if I can't have a young spit and vinegar, kind of head coach, I guess I'll take experience over the latter. However, I feel like we definitely do need somebody that, like you said, can come in there and change the culture. Kubiak. I feel like, he had those attributes. And I'll be honest, I was even a fan of John Fox there for a little while.
For a little bit early on.
I think John Fox, he was decent in the beginning. How
much of that was Peyton made him look good, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously we'll probably get into this in later shows, but it's a matter of who is going to be available to be a head coach.
Yep.
Who is going to say, "Hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring," versus, "Hey, we want to interview him, and now we re-signed him. The hell with you."
Right.
So, that's a whole nother avenue that's going to have to be explored.
Yep. Look, time will tell, and let's not ignore the possibility that Fangio will be back next year.
Don't put
that
that
is
out there.
a possibility.
Don't put it out there.
It's already out there.
Damn it.
It's already out there. If Fangio says, "Look, I'm going to replace Shermer and Tom McMahon," I don't see this happening. I think it's a long shot. Like I don't. But let's say this happened. I could see them saying, like, let's try and stop the constant turnover of head coaches and give you one more year with hopefully somebody like Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. And let's face it, those guys come in and it's pretty much going to be hey, you run the offense. Like, you do what you want to do. Like, this is your team this is your offense to run. Fangio goes, I'm going to go over here and focus on the defense. To me, that would suggest that we're still going to have the head coaching struggles because he still is not going to know how to manage a game. He's going to be too focused on running the defense and all those things. But at least, it could, I don't know, man. I could see it potentially happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I would almost be okay with that, if they said, look, you're a great defensive coach. We want to keep you on as a DC and bring somebody else in to be the head coach.
That's not going to happen, though.
Well, you never know.
Know how awkward that would be, though?
Hey,
like, there's a reason teams don't do that. There's a reason why it's incredibly rare for that to happen.
Hey, if Peyton sat him down and said, look, either you do this or you don't have a job, you think he would take it?
I think he would say, I'm going to try and, get a head coaching job somewhere else.
All right, see ya. At least give him the ultimatum.
Yeah.
Say, look, we think you're a great defensive coach. We'd like to keep you on to run the defense, let you solely focus on that, or get the hell out of town,
Right.
And I actually read this today in the little bit of free time that I did have. I did not realize that the Seahawks went 5 or are currently 5-10.
Mm-hmm.
And that really makes me be like, I don't know if I want Russell Wilson.
So the thing with Russell Wilson is you're going to get more longevity with him than Aaron Rodgers. I think there's a lot of cultural things going on wrong within the Seahawks organization as well.
And they are eliminated.
They are eliminated. So cheers to that. But yeah, so I mean, I think there's just a lot of things there. They're looking to move on themselves. I think this has been a long time coming. I think Russell Wilson is obviously a number 2 in terms of talent compared to Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but you're going to get more time to build a team around him and support him, So, and I don't know. There's so many just different things here that could play out. Going back to we need a culture change. You're not going to get that if you keep Fangio even as the DC. You're just not. Like, you keep the old guard in there in some capacity. 1, it's awkward, and 2, I don't know. I want this team to see a clean slate. There is one coach that I would want to stay, and that's Mike Munchak, because he's done a pretty damn good job with the offensive line.
Well, I hate to rain on your parade on that. Yeah, okay, in general. But, the offensive line did not look spectacular against the Raiders yesterday.
No.
There was a few games that I feel like they should have played better.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess if you're looking at it as a whole, I mean, yeah, I guess he did okay. You know, he could have done a lot worse, but you know, I don't see any other viable offense. Whatever happened to that player that was like, is he still with us? That like played for us, and he's like the assistant offensive line coach or something. I can't remember his name. I know I'd recognize it if I saw it, but I wonder whatever happened with him. I can't remember his name. I got to look that up. That's going to bug me.
Honestly, if Fangio goes, they're all going. You know, they're going to wipe the slate clean. It'll be interesting to see who the new head coach would, you know, who we'd invite to come back or stay with the team. But I don't know. My whole thing is we need to start fresh. And so it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do. Dan makes a good point here. If we get a new owner, and it's more like when we get a new owner, whether that's this year or next year, but if we get a new owner and Fangio is still here, he could see that being Peyton's downfall. I'd have some questions if I was a new owner. You know, hey George, why'd you keep this guy around? You know, I'm already going to start looking at you like, do I trust your decision making? Now, you know, look, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Like, let's see what he does. You know, and criticize anything we feel needs to be criticized after he's done it or hasn't done it. You know, if Black Monday comes and goes and Fangio still has his job, then
he should be made to answer for that decision.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely agree with you. You know, if certain things don't change, then he needs to answer for those decisions.
Yep.
And they better be damn good answers because you know, as we all know, you know, Denver's fan base is one of the most loyal and diehard fan bases out there. And, you know, granted, I don't think, you know, the fan base would turn its back, but, you know, you're going to lose a lot of support.
Look, you already have 9,000, 10,000, 12,000 no-shows a game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the beginning of it. And I think that the Denver brass, granted, we don't have an owner right now, but the upper echelon of the organization, I think, needs to take notice of that and go, we got to do something to get butts back in the seats. I'll tell you what, when we had Timmy Tebow, there wasn't a damn seat left in that place because that dude, granted, he wasn't the best quarterback out there, but he made plays. He brought people in. He made plays, and he, you know, I mean, hell, I almost had 4 coronary, incidences myself just watching the damn games. But you know, I mean, hell, I still got my Timmy Tebow jersey in the closet, so you know, I'm a fan for sure. But you know, he, like I said, I still think we did him wrong. I said that before, and I don't want to see us do wrong by Drew Lock because. Like I said, I think he has the ability and he has the talent to be the quarterback. We just have to get the appropriate OC and coaching staff to help coach him up a little bit. And, you know, let's see if he takes that Josh Allen leap.
Yep. Dan, the no-shows are because Shermer and Fangio weren't fired yet and because Broncos fans are losing trust in Peyton. My response to that is what has Peyton done to make us lose interest in or trust in him? And what I'm getting at is any good leader of an organization is not going to come into office and on day one make overhauling changes, sweeping changes on day one. Any good leader is going to come into office and come into their position and should give it some time so that they can evaluate where things are. Look, Fangio was still in his contract year. Okay. Hey, Fangio, I'm going to see how this plays out. You know, you're at a contract year. You know that. You know, this is your staff. You make the decisions, you tell me what you need, and I will support you and I will get you those things. But after this evaluation, I'm going to be needing to make some decisions. And a lot of good, a lot of horror stories I've heard and some I've seen myself have been from people who come into a leadership position and on day one, they go, I'm changing everything to the way I want it to be done. Everyone sits back and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Who are you? We don't know you. You don't understand how things work here. You don't understand the personnel. You don't understand the culture. You don't understand the organization. You need to give it some time. And I respect Peyton for doing it that way. Coming in here, I have a 6-year contract. I need to see where this team is going. And you look at him, George Payton has done a great job in the draft.
Absolutely.
So just right off the bat, his draft class is doing fantastic. The moves he made, the players we got to bring in some young talent. And we're going to see if that is a continual thing, but that is a big positive right there. But now that the evaluation period is nearing its end, George Payton's going to need to make some decisions. And now it's going to start being, now it's my team. Now I'm the one making the calls. I sat back, I watched, I took notes, I learned, I saw where things were, I see where things are now. And here's the direction we need to go based off of all of that. I respect him for doing all of that. So no, I haven't lost respect in George Payton. Anybody else should, give them some time to, and then base your opinion of them off of their decisions.
So, speaking to that, Fangio, who is 63, signed a 4-year contract in January 2019 that included a team option for 2023. So
I thought this was a contract year. That's my fault then.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
You're good. That's why I'm bringing it up. So, and I was wrong earlier. Currently, he is 19-28 with 2 games remaining. So, with that being said, another name that I have seen come up as far as a head coaching candidate, and I don't know what his contract situation is, but what are your thoughts on good old Sean Payton?
I like him.
Payton, Sean Payton.
It's a sign. Peyton Manning.
Oh, hey, I'll take the
Paytons.
3 Ps. PQ,
baby. It's the trifecta. Jeez. I have nothing against him. What he's done in St. New Orleans has been really good, and I think we were talking about somebody who could come in and build change the culture, build it in a positive direction, but has that head coaching experience under while leading teams to Super Bowls. And let's see, did he ever go to the Super Bowl with Drew Brees?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, he won that Super Bowl, but he won Drew Brees' only Super Bowl.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of anything
that he's done that wouldn't be good for the Broncos.
Looking up Sean Payton's contract, it looks like he signed a 5-year extension to keep him there through 2026. So that may not happen, at least in the near future. But it was a good thought there for a minute.
yeah, it'd be cool. Don't get me wrong. But that's a good point. So another reason that George Payton didn't hire any head coaches this year is because by the time he got the job, all essentially the time-worthy candidates for the head coaching positions were hired, with other teams. So, and what are you going to do in the middle of the season? Are you going to promote Pat Shurmur to interim head coach?
Oh,
no.
For the love of God, no. Wasn't he the Giants head coach for a minute?
Yeah, and look how that went. It's like we had no options. So even if George Payton was like, I am so over you, dude, pretty much no matter what, in the worst case scenario, it was all, I'm keeping you because there's no one else to fill your spot right now.
Yeah, and seeing the fact that I don't want to necessarily say stuck with Fangio till 2023 or through 2023. Now, if they were to fire him, Denver would still have to pay him for those years. Am I wrong on that?
I'm sure there's something in the contract that stipulates exactly what he'd be, what money's guaranteed no matter what, versus if he works out his full contract. I'm sure that's nothing compared to some of these player salaries, though. Head coaches get fired all the time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, look at
it's one of those things
Urban
where
Meyer.
Look, we're not gonna look at Urban Meyer. Now I'm sure he violated some things in his contract that nullified some of his salary or any guarantee, but I'm sure there wasn't anything in there for player abuse. Like, if you abuse a player, then we're nullifying this contract. I don't know.
Hey, he's lucky Josh Lambo didn't get up and drop kick him.
Right.
That would have been the best highlight of all time.
Oh, dude, that'd been great. That'd been so good. God. But yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting. Like, we're gonna see what potential head coaches are available, and are they better than Fangio? Based off of what George Payton is looking for. George Payton may be looking for, a young guy that's really fiery, come in, bring in new ideas, revamp the team in a new way, and is a brand new head coach. That might be what he wants. He might be looking at what I'm trying to describe, and somebody who's been around the block, is not necessarily the, flashiest guy, but is going to, hold players accountable and change the culture, knows how to be a head coach, and didn't totally suck like Pat Shurmur did, I don't know.
Kevin, we got a minute here. I just kind of want to run through just a couple names as far as potential head coaching candidates. I know you don't want to go through that rabbit hole too much, but the top on the list is Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator of the Chiefs.
So my question there is, why? What does he do? Is he calling the plays? Is he calling the offensive plays?
Kevin, we need to get you in the Denver Broncos front office. I like it already.
So, I mean, you could, I wish, like, if you could, I would gladly take that job. But that's my response is, why? Well, you could say, well, look at the Chiefs offense. Well, great. Is he the one calling the Chiefs offense? No. He's not calling the offensive plays.
What about Byron Leftwich from the Bucks?
Is he the DC?
No, he's the OC.
He's the OC? According
to what I'm reading. But again, that's kind of the same question.
I don't know enough about him.
Is he calling the plays?
Well, in that case,
I mean, he played.
I would say no, because Tom Brady's running that offense. But here you have a guy who knows what it's like to be on a championship team, I guess, with somebody like Tom Brady. Maybe he can do it, but again, that'd be my same response is, what has he done other than he's just on a winning? Just because you're somebody on a winning team right now doesn't mean that you're going to be good as a head coach.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Mm-hmm. Then we got Brian Dabble, offensive coordinator from the Bills.
Don't recognize the name.
Yeah, no, me neither. Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator from the Rams.
Now, that one I've heard before. Do you look the Bills have or the Rams have kind of turned things around, especially defensively.
Yeah.
The last couple of years. So you could see that he's,
And we're just going to skip over the name that shall not be said because
he's available again.
We will never do that again. And if we do, I will riot.
No, some team will do it, though, because look at what the Cardinals – except what the Cardinals have lost 2 in a row, one of which was to the Lions. So
Well, he was supposed to take the job with the Colts and then backed out.
Yeah, he's a kind of a douchebag.
Because he realized, I suck. Anyway,
yeah.
And then the last one just on this short list is Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for the Packers. Ooh,
that one I have heard a lot because you get Aaron Rodgers.
Aha!
Well, you get Hackett first. You get Hackett first. Even more incentive for Mr. Rodgers.
Rodgers
Mr.
to come to
Rodgers
town,
come
baby.
on now. This
Yes,
is a
sir.
dude that understands you, that has worked with you, is going to give you the reins of the offense. You know,
I like it. I like it.
In that regard, now my question still would be again, I need to dig more into their background to figure out, are they somebody that could change the culture, turn the team around, kind of a thing. But that one is so. Other than Dan Quinn, Hackett is probably on the top of my list there too, for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw
now
the
the question then becomes, what if you don't get Aaron Rodgers? Then was that a bad decision?
Damn you and your monkey wrenches.
You're gonna have to hire the head coach before free agency starts. So is that worth it? Unless you have some unofficial behind closed doors, agreement that yes, once free agency hits, we'll make this trade with you to send Aaron Rodgers to you out there in Denver, and it's hush hush,
Hey, you go say this to that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's $500. Go say this to that guy.
And if anybody asks, you have no idea what's happening. So,
hey, if anybody in the NFL needs anybody to say anything to anybody not officially, I'll give you my address. You can send the checks at my house. I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll make the calls.
You fly me out. I'll put a suit on and go deliver the news myself.
Exactly. Yourself. Get some burner phones. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Look, there's a lot of different directions that we could go. So it sucks to be having these conversations again, but there's just a lot of options.
I really like that last one. Mm-hmm. Now you got that stuck in my head right now. I'm like, oh, that would be perfect.
Right.
Oh,
right.
I'm thinking like the name that shall not be said. Oh, wait, no, sorry. We're thinking better than him. Never mind.
Yeah, better than him. I hope. So anyway, look, option F or whatever on that list, Vic Fangio.
Yeah, let's keep him at F. I'll give him an F for effort.
Give him F. I put him there for a reason, but he's on the list at that position. So we'll see, man. There's we're gonna have a lot better idea of what type of GM George Payton is, in the next, coming months. New head coach, the coaching staff, what he does in free agency, because this will be his first full free agency, and then of course the draft again. How good, time will only tell how good, that this next year's draft is, if that was another success or not. But can we land a big name quarterback, or is he going to say, hey, that's too steep, or I'm not trading away 5 years worth of first round picks? I doubt that's what they're asking for, but
so we both agree on Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, top tier echelon. I had someone else say to me today, well, what about Deshaun Watson? I'm like, I don't want to deal with that circus.
No.
But what about Jimmy G?
He's a slight improvement over Teddy Bridgewater, but he's not gonna. His ceiling is a little bit better than Bridgewater. Like, we've seen what he's done, and that's pretty much what he is and who he is. And he's been in the league long enough that, I don't think he's going to have any breakout and push it to the next level or something, Now, I say this, he's way better quarterback than I'll ever be, but.
Oh, damn it. What is his name? Why do I always do this?
Drake's comment. Jimmy G just injured today, broken hand and torn hand muscles.
Never mind. So long, Jimmy G.
So long. Bye-bye.
Minshew. Minshew is a better quarterback than you and me. Let's face it.
Well, yes, yeah. And I think he's better than Teddy Bridgewater.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Would you take Minshew over Drew Lock?
I
feel like he has a slight edge only because he's been in the league a couple years longer. But
and
the mustache. I got to give him the
well,
mustache.
he gets points for the mustache. That's for sure.
And if he brings the mullet back, I'm giving him more points.
Well, yes, that's an additional. That's an automatic. You got the job kind of a thing. You still don't know where Drew Lock's ceiling is. You don't. That's the question: is what can you do with a competent coaching staff and a solid line around him, some consistency around him. I would say that Drew Lock's ceiling isn't much higher than where he's currently at, but if he can throw, or if he can be a quarterback in multiple consecutive games without throwing interceptions, that would be a huge turnaround for him. And
absolutely. And thanks, Drake. Yeah, it was a nice thought while I had it.
Good effort. We'll give you an A there. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting the next few weeks. Of course, we'll see where the Broncos land in the draft order, at least barring any trades. Black Monday will be here before you know it. We'll find out very quickly whether or not Fangio is going to come or go.
I think we're at like 12 or 13 right now.
Yeah. And if we lose the next two, I don't think we'll even be in the top 10. I think we'll be like 11 or something at best. So it's not worth, I hope nobody out there says we need a tank for a better draft pick. You're going to get maybe a couple better draft picks. Like
I will slap. Oh, according to this, we're sitting at 11.
No, interesting. Okay. Well, it's
just behind the Atlanta Falcons at 10.
Okay. So that's not terrible. But you could be in a position where you trade that away. There you go.
Yeah. Only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Free agency in March or April. I'd have to check.
It feels like it's so far away.
Yeah, right.
Once our playoff hopes are shot, it's like, oh, it's going to be a long 6 months.
Let's see here. Black Monday, January 10th. Pro Bowl, nobody cares about. Combine is March 1 through 7. Franchise tag deadline, March 8th. And then NFL free agency begins March 16th. So,
mark your calendars.
March 16th is going to be the day. And
I would imagine 16th, that they got
18th. Those are the big days that any big moves are going to happen. I
would imagine that we got to have a head coach picked and in place well before then.
Oh yeah. That's because other teams are going to be making offers to, head coaches they want as soon as they possibly can. So, it has to be, Super Bowl is middle of February. You can expect the Broncos, if they went that route, to have a new head coach by early March.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I would hope that first week in March we would have somebody in place, but
yeah. And then off-season programs begin April 4th. So, yeah. And then the draft April 28th through the 30th.
Well, like I said, only time will tell, and we just kind of have to root for our team because, we ain't no bandwagoners. And
we're close. We really are. We are close to being a competent team. We have the talent. We have the pieces. We just need leadership. That's what's killing us is leadership from the top down, man.
Leadership. And I swear to God,
quarterback.
If Bowles gets another freaking penalty, I'm duct taping his hands to his nipples.
Yeah. That's a conversation for the next podcast.
What was that one penalty that he got that
hands
even I was like,
face?
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding me?
No,
it was like his pinky got stuck on the face mask.
That was a ticky-tack call. There was no movement of the head. He barely touched the guy's face and brought his hand right back down. It was incredible.
I want to see better officiating.
Well, until the NFL, makes their refs full-time employees, they're not going to get better officiating. This is what you get. The NHL has full-time officials. NBA, pretty much every other major sport pays their refs full-time salaries, and they are.
Goodell, figure it out.
No, Goodell's not going to do it. You're going to need a new commissioner before that becomes a topic they actually consider. But you have all these problems with officiating. Make them full-time. Well,
let's make sure that we save that bit that I just did, so when it does happen.
There you go. We'll save it. Okay. Hey, everyone. Remember that we have a ton of other content. Monday night Orange Weekly After Dark starts after Monday Night Football. Tuesday night Bourbon Broncos No BS 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We also got this post-game podcast and the pre-game podcast. You can listen to those either on YouTube, if not iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. We also got the Tailgate Talk, which happens 1 hour before kickoff. And then the original live Broncos halftime show, which is the Orange Weekly Halftime Hash. We are live every halftime for every Broncos game. Tons of Broncos content, and you may think that just because the offseason comes around, you're not going to hear from us. That is not the case. We still try to stay somewhat active. We do take a little bit of a breather ourselves because it keeps us pretty busy during the season. But, you'll hear from us, before free agency, as like a pre-free agency, if you will, right in the beginning of it, a post-free agency recap, same for the draft, so on and so forth. If there's any major breaking news, we'll be doing shows and podcasts and stuff to kind of cover any breaking news. And there might be a lot of it this offseason as well. We also do some fun shows every now and then, like trivia nights and stuff, just a way to hang out and not just with each other, but you all as the listeners as well. So make sure you're following our Facebook page, facebook.com/ I think it's Broncos Orange Weekly. Also youtube.com/C/Orange Weekly podcast. Twitter and Instagram are at Orange Weekly. Pretty much you can find us everywhere. So just make sure you like, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, please. That helps us out a ton. Let us know what you think of the show. Give us any feedback, and because we're always trying to make the show better for you all, the listeners. So for everybody who watched while we were live today, thank you for tuning in. Daniel and Drake were the two names that we saw today. So appreciate both of you. Rob, I appreciate you as always, man.
Hey, Kevin, no problem. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody on the Orange Weekly crew. I appreciate everybody that listens, watches my dumbass be on here. That I am fortunate enough to be able to join you guys, and I definitely look forward to everything that we got coming in the future. So be on the lookout. We are working on Orange Weekly merch as well. So we've got some things in the works. So keep coming back, and like Kevin said, give us a like, follow, subscribe. Turn the notifications on, and things can only get better from here.
Exactly. They sure can. Okay, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. And Rob, I think nothing else to say other than a strong
Go Broncos.
Take care, everyone.
Do what I like, yeah, do what I like, yeah, do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.